The Little Panda Fighter is a horrific piece of shit, but it was thanks to that movie that this video exists, because it introduced me to an extremely wide array of god-awful rip-off films that are masquerading as popular and well-known movies. Because this list of rip-off films was surprisingly vast, I decided that this stupidly long search for the worst special would probably be best suited to a singular theme. I eventually narrowed this theme down to what I have coined as the Not Disney collection, because nearly all of the Amazon listings for these films, because they are effectively plagiarism, have the added Not Disney in brackets in the title, and even on the little plastic wrapping the DVD comes in, they fucking printed it on there. I suppose to avoid terrible stress from confused parents and grandmas. Once I finally narrowed down the films, then it was a matter of watching them. Over the course of 4 fucking days, me and Ruben from Jar Media painfully drained our souls for the sake of sitting through these god-awful drecks of budget DVD releasing.
I might just, the next time we do this, drink my paralytic.
Unfortunately, Ruben did perish in the production. He will be missed. I've still yet to clean his body up because I've been too busy making this damn video. Let me introduce you to the 8 abominations themselves. So this is the Not Disney collection. We have Tangled Up, an obvious ripoff of the Disney movie Tangled. Frozen Land, a copy of Frozen, right down to the font. My personal favorite title of them all, Braver, instead of Disney Pixar's Brave. I coined this one the Fantastic Four Horse, which I assumed was a ripoff of The Incredibles, the Fantastic Four, which I know isn't a Disney property, but I still think it counts, and a bunch of forgettable elements of random Disney movies thrown in. We have What's Up, which is, of course, a shameless cash-in on Pixar's Up, Sky Force, which is planes, and last but not least, A Cars Life and Cars Life 2, which are both obviously a blatant copy of Cars. Now, my expectations were immediately thrown out the window once I learnt what some of these products actually are inside the box. Some of them are so baffling, so fucking unbelievable, that you'll only actually believe what you're seeing once I fucking show it to you straight up. Every single one of these DVDs are readily available to buy. In fact, I bought every one of them off of Amazon. One of them was even £7.99 because I had to get it imported from the US. I could have bought like a real movie for that. But my point is, how these companies are allowed to get away with this level of counterfeiting is flooring to me. Especially when they have the fucking balls to go up against one of the most powerful companies on the planet. Disney. Out of all of the real films that are being ripped off here, the only original Disney movie I've not seen is Planes. And with that one, I expect I could watch the trailer and get the same amount of enjoyment as I would out the full movie. And yes, that does technically mean I've seen Cars 2. Pray for me. That film's so fucking awful. As you can probably tell from my energy right now, I am fucking pumped. This is gonna be terrible. Anyway, when all the DVDs finally arrived and the embarrassment and realization that I actually paid money for these had faded a little bit, the most daunting task of all was choosing which order to watch them in. It's the equivalent of having 8 different types of scorpions lined up in front of you, and then being asked which order you want them to sting or pinch you in. Ultimately, I thought it would be best for the wheel randomizer to do it for me. So let's see what movie comes first. Well, we had to start somewhere, I guess. Just from looking at the cover of the DVD, there's something inherently suspicious about Braver. Well, you know, apart from the whole completely ripping off an already established movie and whatnot. The cover is completely bare, and they don't even show a single frame from the movie on the back. And there is a reason for this, don't you fucking worry. With only a 45-minute running time and a 4:3 aspect ratio, along with the vague and generic quote saying, "The bravest princess in all the kingdom." Who are they quoting? When you quote someone, you're supposed to reference who actually said the quote. Otherwise, every DVD cover would just have complete bullshit bridled all over them. They even make the bold claim of exclaiming that this is a film that everyone will love. I'm gonna stop teasing you now and actually show you what this fucking bullshit is.
Hi, my name's Dart, and I've got a story for you.
Yes! This is the level we're on with these movies. Okay, where to even begin? So first off, it's 2D animation, which Brave obviously isn't. Secondly, I guess it's a Christmas movie. Why the hell not? And thirdly, what the fuck is this?
It's Christmas Eve. Everyone's gone home.
My confusion was only made more tangible by the cheapness and obvious lack of budget or production. And while Braver is a pretty generic and terrible thing to watch. I couldn't help but think that there was something more nefarious going on behind this. Like, this is not just the straight-up little panda fighter level of parody or rush job for a quick buck.
Must I do everything myself?
This is something else. This is something worse. The dated aspect ratio and, well, just everything being dated really, led me to believe that Braver was the end product of some cheeky cunt, or group of cheeky cunts, who for some reason had the rights to some completely random Christmas movie from decades ago, and figured it might be an easy way to make some cash if they made up a fake cover and peddled this Christmas movie to try and trick people into buying it instead of Brave. So let me get this straight. Whoever released this as a product was so inherently lazy that they couldn't even be bothered to shamble together a shoddy ripoff like the Little Panda Fighter, and instead opted for highway robbery, effectively. Like, they didn't even make anything. They didn't make a single original asset for this fucking movie. They have this completely unrelated thing from years ago, and they put a fake cover on it and tried to trick people. That's fucking outrageous. I guess the company who released this is called Bright Spark Productions Ltd. Oh, and they're based in the UK. So first off, let me apologize on their behalf for embarrassing our entire nation. I'm not sure if we'll be able to recover from this. But believe it or not, they do actually have a fucking awful website that I'm pretty sure was made in 2006 and not updated since. Everything is quite cryptic and hard to find, but for some reason they have the films they've released under case studies, which to me is the equivalent cop-out kind of phrasing as to what some YouTubers do with their pranks and saying it's a social experiment. Your films aren't a fucking case study, they're fucking fraud. But under these groups of case studies, alongside the mega hits everyone knows, such as a group of movies Bright Spark has listed as urban films case studies, which includes A Night in Compton, The Bahama Hustle, which has a whopping 38 ratings on IMDb, and The Block Party. Right underneath the urban films case studies is the kids films case studies. You'll notice that sandwiched in between The Little Cars and the Big Race and Cuddle Time is something called Fairy Tale Christmas. We've solved the mystery, ladies and gentlemen. Braver is not Braver, it's a fairy tale fucking Christmas. A Canadian TV movie with 31 ratings from 2005, which I expect was probably made as a tax avoidance money laundering scheme. Who fucking knows? But what I definitely do know, thanks to this website, is that Fairy Tale Christmas had the most pre-orders for a Canadian animation, the UK. They say this twice on the webpage. They got it wrong twice. Most pre-orders for a Canadian animation, the UK. These fucking assholes. These motherfuckers. I was expecting a funny rip-off movie with atrocious animation that at least somewhat resembled the thing they were plagiarizing. I'm even upset, and I willingly paid money knowing that what I was paying for was meant to be awful. This is two different levels of disappointment and misery. I probably shouldn't even go into what happens in the TV special because this hardly even counts. But fuck it, I'm gonna tell you anyway. Braver, or A Fairy Tale Christmas, is the generic story of a princess who gets taken away from her father and put in the woods by a villain who wants to be the king or something. Then Sonic the Hedgehog in the form of a poorly animated reindeer shows up.
Not getting another one of your ridiculous ideas. You're ridiculous.
And a bird with an incredibly irritating voice and equally irritating flying animation. And they also speak English for some reason. They don't really say why, they just can do it.
You can talk?
Yes!
You're ridiculous.
And then she gets home, happily ever after. The end. The animation is so close to being good at times. I mean, if this was like a free YouTube video, this would be totally fine. Even kind of impressive at times. But the further into the running time you go, the worse the animation gets. It's like they just gave up halfway through. They attempt to do these incredibly complex angles for 2D animation that only professionals can do right. Like actual professionals. You know what they're doing? So most of the time, proportions are completely wrong, and a lot of the animation is just broken. I mean, for the most part, it's cute and inoffensive, apart from the fact that the entire message of the movie is that the main character only values the life of the monarchy, and that if you're not a princess, you might as well be fucking dead because you're worthless. Your life is fucking worthless.
Am I really just like every other girl? Like every other girl.
Here are a couple of my favorite awful moments.
Why does every castle have a secret entrance?
I'm not sure.
Now look what you made me do.
With that piece of shit out of the way, let's move on to the next smelly fecal matter. Take it away, Wheel. It's incredibly hard to describe Fantastic Four Horse. Like, I'm not actually sure if the words even exist to explain it to you. It's such a daunting task that I'm truly not sure how to do it. I mean, at least it's somewhat original in terms of the individual elements that make it a thing you can buy. This is only in comparison to the other movies in the Not Disney collection, mind. It's still a pathetic excuse for entertainment. I honestly cannot decide if I despise or adore this movie. It's undoubtedly a horrible, fucking horrible piece of shit. There's something strangely captivating about it. It's like watching a horrible accident unfold right in front of your eyes. You know that you probably shouldn't be gawking at the horrible shit that's happening right in front of you, but at the same time, you just can't help it. That's about the biggest compliment I can give this fucking movie. I was so utterly dumbfounded by the completely unexplained and unmotivated wreck of random scenes and random pacing and random characters and random jokes and, well, everything seems like a random collection of moving images and colors with no real link or point at all.
But after all, a happy wife is a happy life.
It's like they had 400 different people all make one scene, and these 400 people had no contact with each other whatsoever. So then when they smashed it together in the editing room, it's just completely and utterly incoherent. The ineptitude of this film can be summed up just by showing you the opening scene. There is no thought or care put into slowly introducing you into what the hell is going on. In the very opening shot of the movie, they introduce 5 different characters. Yes, I'm counting the dog. A huge machine that, like, makes everyone fly into the air and into this portal thing. All of this while an annoying kid is explaining what everyone's name is. And just shoving a shit ton of exposition right in our face.
I know what you're thinking. Some sort of science fiction movie, right? That's me, Peter. Now listen up, because here's the strange part. This is not fiction. It's all real. Like, Jesus Christ, give me a second to process what I'm seeing. This is complete sensory overload. Now just imagine that one scene, but for an hour and 20 minutes. And you've got yourself Fantastic Four Horse. The plot goes as follows. I'm not going to go into immense detail, and you should thank me for it. If you really want to know the details that bad, buy this shit yourself on DVD. I'm sure the production company could really use the pennies to buy sardines so they can not fucking starve to death. After the title card, the obvious villain of the movie is introduced. His running joke is that every time he starts laughing, a bug flies into his mouth and it makes him choke. Yes, I'm aware I did call that a running joke, but it's not funny at all, so I guess it's just sort of a thing that happens in every scene that he's in. Like, I'd go as far as to say that this joke is so unfunny that the filmmakers actually tried their hardest to make it as unfunny as possible, just to see what kind of terrible shit they could get away with. I am really fucking angry. Or just to punish me. That's what it feels like. There certainly isn't anyone else sitting through Fantastic Four Horse. Are you fucking kidding me? For some reason, the president and his wife are oddly important to this film. Well, nothing is important particularly. They're just sort of in it a lot.
Guess you just don't love me anymore now that you're so busy being the president.
Yeah, of course I do.
You're probably asking yourself, why does everyone move so weird? Why does everyone sound so weird? What is happening? Why does it look like they're not actually saying what I'm hearing? Well, that's because this film was originally called The Illusionauts or Los Ilusionatas, which sounds Spanish to me. I'm no expert, but I'm pretty sure that's Spanish. So presumably this film has been dubbed in English. Not that the film even gives you much time to focus on what's being said because the pacing is so. It continues to meander along. There's a bunch of lions chasing a hot air balloon. Then giant octopus. Whatever. Then some scientists go along to see Christopher Lloyd.
I know precisely what happened. Someone has found the Imaginasium and used it to sabotage these stories.
He was playing someone only known as the Professor. Man, I tell you what, Christopher Lloyd, he had such an amazing year in 2012. Not only was he in this movie, but believe it or not, he also starred in such search for the worst hits known as Food Fight and the Oogie Loves in the Big Balloon Adventure. These were all in the same year. I really hope the paychecks were worth it. Mr. Lloyd. The film just keeps going on with these aimless scenes until 16 minutes and 10 seconds into the movie where we're finally introduced to our main character, or characters, the 4 kids. The main one is the tubby bookworm nerd who gets bullied. And there's the fuckboy one who loves video games and is also a nerd. And there's another fat one called Profiterole. He does a lot of farts. And he has a dog called Houston. Yeah, I wasn't making a joke. The only thing that defines this one's character is that he farts a lot. He does a lot of farts. I'm not shitting you. That's the only reason he's in this movie.
Profiterole forms the Gas Appreciation Society.
And last and least, there's the blonde girl who is really good at fighting, played by Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I don't actually know what the central drive of the plot is, partially because I wasn't properly paying attention and I just refuse to watch this again, but also because it's incredibly confusing, and I'm not kidding when I say it makes absolutely no sense at all. The plot summary on IMDb is 6 lines long. This is a children's movie for babies. Why does it take 6 lines to explain the plot of your movie? Wait, and then when you read this plot summary, it's badly translated and makes no sense. Unlikely events shake France. All the heroes of the famous Jules Verne lived and, without knowing it, are chaos and destruction. And all because of the new French president and the Minister of Culture conceived to make a novel by the great writer Edits and confused everything. Save the situation can only team of 4 talented children are sent back in time to return all the stories on track and put the heroes of Jules Verne back to the pages of books. What? I recognized a few references to Jules Verne books, like Around the World in 80 Days and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, but yeah, like Jules Verne, he wrote fiction. So how can you send these kids back in time to fiction? Like the stories that they didn't actually happen. But yeah. The dog is only called Houston so that when they're in space, they can say,
Houston, we have a problem.
That's incredibly funny. I'll give them that one. That was ingenious writing. I did get a nice chuckle every single time the fat boy fucking shits himself though. Class comedy. Absolute fucking genius comedy right there. 1 hour and 17 minutes of this. It's fucking horrific. It's honestly just fucking embarrassing. Why are they in Tron suits? Oh wait, I don't care.
Voila!
Why do their suits make the same noise as the doors from Dead Space? Why is that in this movie, and why did I recognize that more importantly? What?
To a flying one! Profiterole!
This has got to be the same thing, right? Surely. What is happening? What the fuck is happening? I'm kind of done talking about this movie because hurting my head, but at the end, the villain reveals that his motivation all along was because he is left-handed and he only trusts left-handed people. And that's why he hates Jules Verne or something.
This is a conspiracy. They want to have us disappear.
Who do they want to have disappear?
The lefties! The lefties? Yes, yes, yes! All of those geniuses! Da Vinci, Napoleon, Chaplin, Beethoven, Seinfeld. All of them left-handed. All.
Can you hold for 1 minute?
Movie because... Then they save the day in a scene that's nearly identical to The Incredibles. But instead of it being a giant robot, it's a giant octopus. The end. Fantastic Four Horse is one of the most atrocious pieces of media I've ever had the displeasure of seeing. You know, sometimes I will recommend a bad movie on the basis of you might be able to learn something from how bad this is, because there might have been a good idea in here along the line, or a couple things you can appreciate here and there. But I'm not exaggerating when I say that nothing in this film works. It's an absolute, unmitigated fucking disaster. Not only is it really fucking weird for a baby movie to rely so heavily on Jules Verne and H.G. Wells references for the fucking plot, but the breakneck, mind-numbing pacing, horrible animation and style, and awful up-close cinematography and constant camera shake make this film feel like it's trying to burst out of the screen and fucking attack you. You're probably waiting for me to say that this is the worst of the 8 films in the Not Disney collection. But get this. Brace yourselves for this. By the end of watching all of these 8 films, this one was actually my favorite. Yes, I'm serious. Fantastic Four Horse was my favorite out of these 8 monstrosities. You should be fucking terrified for what you're about to see. I am not shitting you. I'm not going to talk about Frozen Land for long, because it's fucking boring. If I ever need to describe anything as being boring ever again, instead I'm going to use the words Frozen Land as an adjective instead of boring. Boring, boring Frozen Land. The fucking cunts who released this movie should be ashamed. Not because it's a generic, by-the-books, visually uninteresting amalgamation of half a dozen much better animated films, but watch this clip from the title card of the fucking movie and be as blown away as I was at the revelation. Did you catch that? Let me play it again at half the speed. For about 15 frames, you can see what the original title of this movie was. It's a bit dark so you can hardly see, but the original name of this movie is The Legend of Cirilla. 2 more seconds in the editing room would have hidden this error, and I might not figure this out. 2 more fucking seconds! Luckily, whoever edited this is a lazy, lazy soul. The Legend of Cirilla, a movie that's such a boring Frozen Land of a failure that they needed to change its name and peddle it as something else to even stand a chance of anyone buying it. Fittingly, the movie itself is a Frozen Land of entertainment. Take a look at one of the original posters. That's the most boring goddamn thing I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. That's the most boring thing I've ever seen. Fuck you, Frozen Land! And the movie is the exact same as that poster. It's a bunch of assholes walking around in the snow, being boring, mostly. There's not a more incredible landscape you could have ruined and made utterly, utterly Frozen Land. I mean, boring. I mean, look, this is a picture of a true Frozen Land. When you search for Frozen Land on Google image search, you get the true results of what a Frozen Land is supposed to be. I mean, look at this one. Well, how about one of these? Okay, one more.
You're ridiculous.
Okay, let's get real. Let's get real for a moment. Out of the entire not Disney collection, Frozen Land is the closest to an actual movie of the bunch, I think. The animation is consistent and acceptable. It kept reminding me of that Star Wars Clone Wars show, which I guess people like, but it has that cheap style where everything looks like a toy. That did start as a compliment, but it turned into an insult halfway through. I just can't help it. The voice acting is fine. Every element is just fine. It's the most inoffensive, forgettable thing you could ever watch. Problem is, in my opinion, being bored to tears is kind of worse than being baffled to tears. You feel every single second of time scrape past, because there is nothing entertaining happening. The movie's structure is even fucking boring. Scene with the village or the villain being a nuisance, then cut to the 3 assholes going to find Cirilla, then cut back to the village. It's putting me to sleep trying to describe this to you. I'll describe the story to you in a couple words. Boring. No, okay, seriously. I'm being serious this time. Boring. No, but like, it is really fucking boring though. All of the animals are gone, and this group of people are starving to death because they don't have any animals to eat. There's a legend of a wonderful place called Cirilla, where there are loads of animals to hunt and eat so they don't die.
That lies to the north, among the glaciers. Rich in game, a land that only the pure of heart can set foot and gather its abundance.
Cirilla.
Then a small group of people go to Cirilla and hunt animals. Then they come home and everything is cool. The villain is played by the villain from Up. He's got a pretty good voice.
I no longer need your protection.
That is the only positive I can think of for this movie. Weirdly enough, I noticed that a bunch of story beats and elements seem to be nearly directly ripped off from a couple of 2D DreamWorks animated movies that were also commercial failures. You know what they say? When in doubt, and you have absolutely no ideas of your own whatsoever, copy El Dorado and Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas, and I'm sure your movie will make all all the money. I'm sure that'll turn out great for your movie. Now, I actually quite like El Dorado and Sinbad. They're pretty charming in a lot of ways, and they're actually entertaining. More entertaining than Frozen Land, that's for sure. Here are the weirdly similar story elements. A villain who knows a bunch of magic for no reason. A god-type character who communicates with another character underwater. An arranged marriage subplot. A fucking annoying shithead animal. Combine those two movies, then add a bit of Ice Age and Brother Bear, and kaboom, you've got the deformed creature known as Frozen Land. Or sorry, I mean, The Legend of Cirilla. I don't want to talk about this fucking movie anymore.
Uncle's transmission antenna. These are live images of the surface of Venus.
Jesus fucking Christ, it just keeps getting worse. I mentioned the little abortion fighter earlier in this video. Well, What's Up is made by the same company. And somehow they fucking manage to make it an even bigger piece of shit than the little panda fighter was. It's actually unreal. For some reason, the rip of the DVD had these fucking weird lines and squares all over it. So it's nearly completely unwatchable. I think there's something wrong with the DVD. It's probably produced in the cheapest way possible, so I'm honestly not surprised. To be utterly fair to it though, it does play fine straight off the DVD. The word fine being relative, of course, because you're still watching What's Up. If you didn't know already, the company who shits out these fuckfests of rushed CG animation specialized in shitting out 45-minute long movie based on what they see in a trailer, just so they can release something at the same time as the real studio who actually put effort in, and then fight for shelf space or get the odd accidental buy because the covers look so similar to the real movie they're mimicking. For the record, the name What's Up is such a desperate stretch to force in the word up that it's honestly fucking pathetic. As for what happens in the movie, well, I don't really have a fucking clue. For real though, does it even matter at this point? For these ones in particular, like, you know exactly what's up. Oh, for fuck's sake. I'm just gonna turn the mic on, call up Ruben, and ask him to remind me of what happens in this fucking movie, because I refuse to watch this ever again. I'm not gonna put myself through that. That's like 40 minutes. I could jerk off or watch paint dry in that time.
Oh, hello.
Ruben, is that you?
Yes. No.
Oh, so you're not dead. That's good.
Oh, right. I took that picture myself, so I don't really...
No, listen. I need your help for something.
Oh, yeah?
Like, this is dire, right here.
At 12 minutes to midnight.
Like, do you remember the movie What's Up?
Wonders!
Yeah, I mean, I
You do?
managed to block it out, but you brought it all back.
Can you... I'm sorry, but can you tell me what happens in What's Up? What's the plot of What's Up?
Screen tearing.
No, apart from the screen tearing, what was the story?
Screen tearing.
What was the main character? What was his name?
I don't know!
What happened in What's Up, Ruben? What happened in the movie?
There was a lady in pink. There was a scientist. I remember the end. They were throwing a ball around, and like Jean-Pierre. That's the character. I know the villain's name. Jean-Pierre, I think.
How the fuck did you remember that?
That was Fantastic Four.
So what? Didn't they capture ghosts or something? Weren't they Ghostbusters?
Pretty much. They were monster busters. I mean, there's a bit where they all get kitted up in beige jumpsuits with like packs.
So what you're saying is that it's your favourite film?
Yeah.
And you hope they make a sequel soon?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. An all-female sequel would be good.
Oh yeah. I had a feeling it would go down like this. I couldn't remember the story, and I'm sure as hell never watching it ever again.
Yeah, I mean, the back of the case doesn't help either, so...
No, it's all lies.
I remember the music being horrible and the voice acting being horrible.
Wonders!
Just kind of like zoning out.
Everything's horrible. Like, I was hoping that you could take me through the story, but I had a feeling that you would have no idea.
Random images from it, but I don't.
That's all it is, though. It's just a series of random images. That's the whole film, summarized.
Well, yeah.
Well, there you go, ladies and gents. That's the whole fucking film.
I hope you enjoy the rest of the video.
Do you have any final words, Ruben, before you go back to being fucking dead?
Subscribe to PewDiePie.
Yep.
I meant Jar Media, but PewDiePie came out.
Yeah, and everyone tweeted Ruben, what's up? Is that not your favorite movie?
That's like the 4th tweet request now that you've given them. My Twitter's gonna be fucking ruined.
I'm gonna hang up now.
Good.
Bye!
Cunt.
A car's life is my religion. I very firmly believe that this is what you see before you die. Where to begin with this atrocity? Never before have I seen ineptitude on this level. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. The only interesting thing about this movie is why it exists. It claims on the back of the DVD to be a story inspired by a true father-son relationship, which explains why the story is about a young car who gets peer pressured by an older, more slutty car into getting piercings and tattoos, and also going out into the desert with his girlfriend so they can get ambushed and killed. Yeah, that does happen. All of that happens in this children's movie.
Speedy! Speedy!
It's got a U, look. It's got a U for everyone. Doesn't begin with an E. A car literally gets smashed to death in the last scene of this movie. This is probably the most horrific animation out of the entire Not Disney collection. The style, backgrounds, and motion are all pretty painful to look at. If you skip to completely random scenes in this 40-minute movie, you'll notice that just about everything looks the exact same. You could probably re-edit the order of the film as well, and it wouldn't make a fucking difference. A boring color palette, bad character models, just bad everything, really. When the Comic Sans credits pop up at the end, I wasn't too surprised to read that this was written, directed, and animated by one single person. Admittedly, I probably would be nicer towards this movie if it wasn't shamelessly cashing in on the popularity of Cars and was an original thing. Honestly, at this point, 5 movies in to the Not Disney collection, I'd actually forgotten what a real animated film looks like. So I put on the trailer for Cars, like the actual Cars, which is one of my least favorite Pixar movies. But even seeing the animation of my least favorite Pixar film was enough to bring me back into the real world of what animated movies can look like. So going back to A Car's Life, which let me point out is missing the correct grammar on the front of the box, by the way. Bit of a fuck up. Right there. The film has no through line or focus. Most of the time, every character is just sort of carring around the boring pit stop. And every single character is designed so poorly that it's honestly astonishing. The main character has his mouth in the wrong place, which constantly bugged me. Like, it should be lower. Why is it there? That's where his nose would be. It looks like his nose is talking. And then take a character like this, for example. What traits does this character design spring out at you? Like, how from this design do you think this character should act? Well, this is supposed to be the sexy, seductress car.
Who cares what the other cars think? Live for today.
But for some reason, they made her look like one of those Jeeps from Jurassic Park. Man, that's real sexy. Oh, whoa, mama, calm down. Jurassic Park. Jeep, fuck me. You might think that this is because this film was trying to put forward some kind of progressive message by having the cars look like anything they want, but I think the real reason is probably more likely that because the one guy who made this movie ran out of assets to use. And then there's the pink car, who has a mustache for some reason, and has the fucking worst voice acting I've ever heard in any piece of media.
Oh, Lance! Go! Make history!
So forget even being able to put this on to send your child to sleep. As soon as this fucking cunt opens her mouth, they'll be wide awake and ready for escape. The only other interesting thing about Cars' life is the weird horror trope that kind of acts as the beginning and end for the movie. It starts with the main character, Sparky, his name is, very cute, and his father, going to the gravestone of Sparky's dead cousin, which is randomly in the middle of a fucking desert.
What does R.I.P. mean again?
Rest in peace. You remember Piston?
Of course. He yelled a lot. Where's the rest of Piston?
This hubcap is all they found. Don't know what happened to the rest.
And then fast forward to the end of the film, and it turns out the bimbo who's been fucking with Sparky the whole time is actually responsible for the murder of his cousin.
Oh. Dad, Diesel killed Piston.
I knew it.
Get me my lawyer.
Where's the rest of Piston?
This hubcap is all they found.
Goodbye, Sparky.
Like what? Why is this necessary for a baby movie about talking cars? The original score for the film is so loud and misused and generally unpleasant that on top of everything else, it somehow makes the experience even more unbearable. All in all, I'm going to give this film a solid 8 out of 10. IHE Movie Choice Magazine Award for the movie of the day. Assaholic bitches only, you're welcome. Cars Life 2 improves on every aspect the first movie failed to do, but that's like having a normal shit instead of diarrhea. It's still a disgusting piece of shit at the end of the day. The CG is more stylized and clean, the aspect ratio is correct this time. All in all, it's a lot less of a visual bombardment of overwhelming, pissy, oily car shit. They toned down some of the voice acting and replaced a few of the really poor decisions, like the dad character's voice actor, he's gone. And there's not murder this time. The only positive the first movie has over this one is the fact that it's half the running time. Cars Life 2 is nearly an hour and 20 minutes long, and my god do you feel every second of it. It's just bearable for about half. But after that, it's just too much. It's very clearly aimed at extremely young children who like cars. But then, why would anyone in their right mind choose this over Cars or Cars 2? This is ultimately where the biggest problem with Cars Life 2 lies. In being so inoffensive, so harmless, they expect me to give it a pass. But ultimately, it is still ripping off the worst Pixar movie. And it's still a subpar piece of entertainment for the whopping price of £1.36. Every single detail of the story is incredibly simplistic and over-explained. There is not one single bit of entertainment value in this movie for anyone over the age of 2. The only ironic enjoyment I could find was taking screenshots of various facial expressions and leaving my imagination to fill in the context. Here, let's have a look at a few. Cars Life 2 is still a fuck you.
Make me some gasoline, baby.
But there's absolutely nothing to say about it, nothing interesting at least. The story is nearly identical to the first iteration. It even ends on the same joke as the first movie.
You giving Diesel a ticket for killing Piston and slicing Speedy?
Nope, for driving without a license.
Diesel, you're under arrest.
Why?
For trying to kill me?
Diesel is under arrest for driving with an expired registration.
Oh, that's ironic, but it's not dramatic.
And the only new elements it brings to the table are just scenes where the point or punchline is repeated ad nauseum to hammer home a very broad or child-friendly point. I don't know why they felt it was necessary to have a love subplot with these two characters. Like, who fucking cares? Just take this out and have a more focused baby movie. And there are like 17 more Cars Life movies that I'm sure are making some guy's wallet very happy. I considered not even finishing watching this the first time I put it on. I did in the end, but you could watch like 2 minutes of this and have the exact same experience that I did. Fuck this, next movie. Skyforce comes dangerously close to being competent. Anthroplanes. Notice I did say close, though. It is still a terrific failure. Out of all of these movies, it's certainly the most visually exciting. Some of the fake CG camera work is not even that bad at times. Anthroplanes. But much like Cars Life 2, there simply isn't enough material to keep it interesting. Also, this is literally the Anthroplane movie. The story is about a plane called Ace, who's the cocky member of a group of an elite emergency rescue team called Skyforce. The opening scene is very over the top and admittedly kind of exciting. It's quite refreshing actually after all this shit we've just seen. It's quite an elaborate action scene for a movie like this, and it goes on for a full 5 minutes. And then after that action scene is over, it immediately transitions into another one, where this time Ace's cockiness results in the death. Yes, the death.
We will make it!
Did he? No.
He was too badly damaged.
Of one of the other Skyforce members, which results in him leaving the Force. The Skyforce. I'm not sure why these rip-off Cars movies are so obsessed with death. But it makes for some pretty hilarious and ridiculous stuff for a kid's movie about anthroplanes. What about when he comes back as a fucking ghost? Look, it's Mufasa. Hey, plane ghost Mufasa. Anthroplane. As the film goes on, you begin to notice that the reason that everything is so ridiculous and over the top is because this is a dubbed Chinese movie. I'm not saying Chinese movies are all over the top, I simply wouldn't know. But the over-exaggerated movement and confusing delivery of some of the lines...
I can't think about that right now. I promised the boss I would get us back on track, so we better hurry so we don't miss the next run.
Back in line for some more fun.
Fred, behind you!
Makes a whole lot more sense with that knowledge. I was doing a little bit of research around this movie and I found something kind of interesting. This movie is on IMDb twice. First as Skyforce 3D from 2012, then again under the title of Wings, Skyforce Heroes, a retroactive sequel to some awful looking movie called Wings. From what I can tell, they are the exact same movie. The only difference being that the 2014 release has Rob Schneider playing this annoying robot thing.
Rob Schneider.
So you definitely know which version to pick up if you're interested. Rob Schneider.
Rob Schneider.
Unfortunately, poor old Ace feels a whole lot of guilt for his partner dying, horribly, burning to death, being crushed, probably too. Horrible death. So he leaves the Skyforce.
I think the first order of business is finding a new job.
What?
And as soon as he leaves the Skyforce, that's when the movie gets a whole lot more Frozen Land. I mean boring. I mean Frozen Land. The big chunk of the movie is dedicated to various montages of Ace going through a bunch of different occupations trying to find a place to fit in. He eventually winds up settling in some kind of weird mining facility, run by a comically exaggerated villain character who wears a top hat and only cares about money. Oh, original. How original. Ace and his irritating floating eyebrows fall out with Rob Schneider in a fucking hilarious melodramatic scene which is shot like a serious drama, but it's with an anthroplane and Rob Schneider. Sorry, I mean a robot man. Wait. Yeah, Rob Schneider.
No, Ace, I want to talk now. I don't want to do this anymore.
I don't know about you, but I feel like these robot people are kind of a cop-out. At least in the Cars universe, they're consistent. Like everything is a vehicle. Like a vehicle that actually exists in real life. Like whatever Rob Schneider is, that's not a thing that exists. That's just a robot man whose only purpose is to climb inside Ace's asshole, and I guess he like controls him from the inside or some shit. It's never really explained. One of the generic worker planes gets into an accident, and then Ace saves the goddamn day, motherfucker, because he's a hero. He's a Skyforce. Then to celebrate, everyone goes to a fair, and they all dance to the Numa Numa song. You know, IHE, IHE. You know, the shit that was popular in, what, 2005? 6. My theory on why this just horrific scene is in the movie is because I bet they thought this is what would appeal to European audiences. Of course they were wrong. Horribly wrong. Or maybe they're just out of touch. I don't know. Either way, it's fucking just, oh god, it's bad. The climax of the movie takes place at the mining facility in the heart of a storm, where shit all goes wrong. Then the Skyforce shows up and save the day with the help of Ace and everyone along the way. And wowee, look, in the end, Ace is back with Skyforce. Isn't that grand? What a lovely ending. Now, as a rip-off or a spin-off of Cars, this isn't really the worst thing I've ever seen. It definitely outstays its welcome and is horribly out of touch at points, but this is definitely one of the better pieces of shit in the Not Disney collection. I'm so tired. Let's do the final film now. Everyone knows the story of Rapunzel. It doesn't even need an introduction, so let's get right into it. It is a little bit worrying that the DVD file is called DVD_Title1 when all the others have had proper names, like even What's Up had a name. But everyone knows Rapunzel. She doesn't need any introduction. This intro is kind of cool. What's this all about?
The story of Hansel and
What?
Gretel comes from a German collection of folk and
What the
fairy
fuck?
tales
What the
by
fuck?
brothers
Who?
Grimm.
Is this real? Wait, Tangled Up is a rip-off of Tangled, which is based on Rapunzel, right? Not Hansel and Gretel. Not Hansel and Gretel. Not Hansel and Gretel. What is going on? What is this? Hello? Hello? Am I in purgatory? Is this even a movie? Is this even a fucking movie? What is this? What on earth am I looking at? Why is this Hansel and Gretel? I didn't pay for Hansel and Gretel, I paid for Rapunzel. Oh, it's over. But wait, there's still another 30 minutes left. Okay, maybe the next one is Rapunzel. Let's calm down. Okay, it's this intro again. This music really hurts my brain. What? What? The woodcutter's wealthy sister. What kind of fairy tale is this? Who made this Rapunzel DVD? I want my money back.
She was a monster.
Okay, there's a cat lady and a man who shouts at his wife.
Go back to bed. You are only dreaming.
No, it's true. You must get up.
Silence. Go to sleep.
And he was never heard from again.
And then he gets eaten. Oh, I guess that's the end. And now we're on to Pedro and the monster. What? Huh? Okay, so that one's over. There's that fucking music again. It's starting to grind my gears now. Are you for real? Are you for real? It took you 22 and a half. No, wait, nearly 23 minutes of your 45-minute long fucking movie to get to what was shown on the cover. The first line of the DVD is, "Tangled Up is the fabulous fairy tale of Rapunzel." You lied to me, Spider-Man. You betrayed my trust. How dare you, Bright Spark? How fucking dare you? I thought you were kind of funny before, but now, you're my fucking mortal enemy now. Fuck you, Bright Spark. Fuck you for repurposing random animated TV features from the 90s and selling them as Disney movie rip-offs. You should be ashamed. You should be fucking ashamed. You'll be hearing from my lawyer team about this. Okay, so we might as well finish this. Fuck it. To be perfectly fair, the Rapunzel short is the best one on this compilation of random 90s animations. Where the fuck do they even find these? I mean, really. I guess that has cute animation and a nice style. That is all. The penultimate story is the beloved fairy tale of Fenchelchen. You know, the one where the witch turns into fennel. You know, fennel. You ever tried fennel? I'm running out of amusement words, at this point. Why have you forsaken me on this day? I feel like this is the tape they watch in The Ring, but in real life. Last up is The Princess in the Tower. I originally fell asleep at this point, so I have no idea what happens. It has fucking horrific animation, and someone talks to a bird.
One day he happened to be talking to an eagle. You see, he knew how to speak the language of birds.
You're ridiculous. I guess that's all for that one. Oh, they just had to throw in that fucking music there one more time. Tangled Up isn't a movie. It's a collection of educational fairy tale animations produced in 1991. I have nothing else to add to this except a big fuck you to Bright Spark for having this be purchasable off Amazon. Like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I have more respect for Video Brinquedo than I do for you fuckers. So that was the Not Disney collection. What a fucking horrific bunch of movies. I hope we've all learned something very important today, folks. That plagiarism and shameless copying is never the way. And most importantly, do you want to know what I've learned? You want to know what I've learned? It's to never do another 8-film search for the worst. I mean, one film is bad enough on its own. What was I fucking thinking? If I had to order these films from my favorite to my least favorite, it would go as follows. My favorite is Fantastic Four, followed by Skyforce, Cars Life 2, Frozen Land, A Car's Life, What's Up, Braver, and finally Tangled Up. I would recommend none of these movies. I'm going to be greeted by these films at the gates of hell. If you like this video enough, maybe eventually I'll do one on rip-off DreamWorks movies, if enough exist. I know there's one on B-movie. People like B-movie, right? Who knows? Maybe if that happens, that'll be the one that finally kills me. And up next in the search for the worst is... Shark Exorcist. Now this is from the same production company as The Amazing Bulk, so I think we all know exactly how this is gonna go. It's finally done. All of that time patiently waiting for a new video, and here it fucking is. This is literally months of work poured into one video. I hope it pays off. It's just like all these little details that you wouldn't even think of that made this take such a fucking long time. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Despite how fucking bad these films are, I think it made for an entertaining search for the worst special. I'm thinking about doing one of these specials like once every 6 months or something. We'll see what the reception is to this one. Like, if you like this video, please give it a share or post it somewhere. I don't know, I'm so tired, just help me. And as always, thanks for watching. All comments and ratings are very much appreciated. Make sure you check out the huge trying to watch for this episode, which has me and Ruben's genuine first reaction to all of these movies. I'll see you next time. Bye!